Supernatural running. The ability to run without stopping for exceptionally long distances and at a very fast pace is a Siddhi, essentially a shamanic ability. It is found in a number of countries and continents where one might expect it to have developed, because it helps with hunting on vast plains. In this BBC documentary, we can see that the hunter is able to follow his prey for 8 hours. So we find it, for example, throughout Africa and Australia. A.P. Elkin, fast travelling, from Aboriginal men of high degree. Medicine men are believed to be able to travel at a very fast pace. This is obvious enough if the claim is to fly in sleep or in a vision to distant places, or to send their familiars on such journeys, but they can also run at a surprising pace for any distance, faster than anyone can run, and without getting tired or out of breath. Indeed, it has been said that the air has been made soft and solid, and that it moves along, carrying them with it. The explanation given by other Aborigines is that these clever men can make their spirits take them along very quickly. Aborigines are noted for their extraordinary feats of walking long distances at what we regard as remarkable speed. Hunting and raiding on foot fits them for this, but the medicine man's powers are said to exceed this, and to be more than physical. Even in areas like the Andes or Himalayas, however, we find that Aztecs, Incas and Tibetan Buddhists were all capable of this. Perhaps even more astounding is that there is some indication that many Celts and European shamanic societies were also capable of doing it, as Lewis Carroll showed us in his depiction of the Mad Hatter. Lung-gom-pa. Lung-gom-pa is a Siddhi found in Tibetan Buddhism, which is said to allow a practitioner to run at an extraordinary speed for days without stopping. According to legend, Lung-gom-pa runners could run for 48 hours without rest and cover 200 miles in a single day. Alexandra David-Neel, in her book Magic and Mystery in Tibet, describes how she saw a Lung-gom-pa runner in action. Alexandra David-Neel with Mystics and Magicians in Tibet. Noon and early afternoon, narrow valleys, woodlands, uneven ground are considered unfavourable conditions, and only adepts in Lung-gom are deemed capable of overcoming the adverse influences which emanate from them. These explanations seem to imply that uniformity in the landscape and absence of nearby conspicuous objects are helpful in attaining the trance. It is certain that a wide desert plain offers fewer occasions of distracting attention from the formula and the movement of the breath than a ravine half obstructed with rocks and bushes, noisy mountain streams, etc. As for the regularity of the pace, it cannot be easily kept up on a rough, uneven path. From my own superficial experience of the practice, desert tablelands are choice ground. But I feel convinced that a forest of tall straight trees, devoid of undergrowth and crossed by tolerably even paths, may be quite favourable to the trance, perhaps also on account of the uniformity of the landscape. However, this is my own idea, and is based on a single personal observation which I made in the primeval forests of Puyol. Any clear night is deemed good for the training of beginners, but strong starlight is especially favourable. One is often advised to keep the eyes fixed on a particular star. This appears connected with hypnotic effects, and I have been told that among novices who train themselves in that way, some stop walking when their star sinks below the skyline or rises above their head. Others, on the contrary, do not notice its disappearance, because by the time the star has passed out of sight, they have formed a subjective image of it, which remains fixed before them. Some initiates in the secret law also assert that, as a result of long years of practice, after he has travelled over a certain distance, the feet of the Lung-gom-pa no longer touch the ground, and that he glides on the air with an extreme celerity. Setting aside exaggeration, I am convinced from my limited experiences, and what I have heard from trustworthy lamas, that one reaches a condition in which one does not feel the weight of one's body. A kind of anesthesia deadens the sensations that would be produced by knocking against the stones or other obstacles on the way, and one walks for hours at an unaccustomed speed, enjoying that kind of light, agreeable dizziness well known to motorists at high speed. Tibetans distinguish between the regular prolonged tramps accomplished by the Lung-gom-pa and those of the Pawas, possessed mediums, who go into trances involuntarily and walk with no definite goal in view. Intellectual lamas do not deny the reality of the phenomena brought about in the long run by Lung-gom-pa practices, but they care little for them. Mentions of such accomplishments are repeatedly found in the Padma Bhakthang and in various other books. It is styled success in swiftness of foot. Runner's High. It has been suggested that something like Lung-gom-pa is being experienced during Runner's High. A trance-like state is achieved, where the runner feels as though he or she is almost walking on air. The following is from Scott Dunlap's blog of trail running, ultra running, and triathlon racing in the western United States. The link is in the description to this video. A person under the name Travis provided the following observation in January 2008. The first runner's high I ever had was at the 90-minute mark of the first time I ran 12 miles. It was a gorgeous San Francisco day, and I happened to be crossing the Golden Gate Bridge towards the Presidio. I recall looking to my left at the city, and I noticed how unbelievably blue the sky was. I thought, is that Azure or is that cerulean? And then I noticed how the water looked a bit better than usual. It was deep blue and wrinkled with silver splashes of sunlight. Something was definitely going on. Then it built into a state of detachment. I had heard of the runner's high and let it envelop me. While all my senses were working, I was unconcerned with the negative inputs, traffic, noise, pain, etc. Every stride became effortless, and I felt like each time a foot landed, I had passed about 12 feet. I was bouncing along like the movies of the astronauts on the moon, or so I felt. I felt like there were no limits to myself, and I exulted in the feeling. I was unconcerned about time, as everything in the universe seemed to be in sync. I can't really explain it, just a great feeling. And it would seem a number of long-distance runners experience this high and supernatural ability to speed. This is Mo Farah. The Marathon Monks of Mount Hiei. Adharanand Finn, from The Guardian, Tuesday the 31st of March 2015. Somewhere in the mountains around Kyoto, Japan, live the Marathon Monks. Legend has it that the monks of Mount Hiei run 1,000 marathons in 1,000 days in their quest to reach enlightenment. Those who succeed become revered as human Buddhas or living saints. It is rare that a monk embarks on the 1,000-day challenge or Kaihoikyo, and even rarer that one completes it. In the last 130 years, only 46 men have managed it. They run in straw sandals. At the end of their quest, the monks enter a darkened room where they spend 9 days without food, water, or sleep. The idea is to bring the body as close as possible to death. A priest at the temple tells me that the idea behind the constant movement is to exhaust the mind, the body, everything, until nothing is left. When you are nothing, then something pop comes up to fill the space. This something, he tells me, is the vast consciousness that lies below the surface of our lives, a sense of oneness with the universe. An example from Alexandra David-Neel. It is clear from these examples that both Tibetan Lung-gom-pa and the Marathon monks have extended their practices way beyond those who achieve a runner's high. And whilst achieving the high the runners achieve, gain a very significant spiritual high as well. So let us go back to Tibet and Alexandra David-Neel's meeting with a Lung-gom-pa runner to get more details. Alexandra David-Neel with mystics and magicians in Tibet. The way to the pass was longer than I had suspected, and I soon realised that the pack mules would not reach the top of the ridge before nightfall. It was out of the question to let them attempt going down the other side of the range in the dark, so having reached a grassy spot near a brook, I stopped there. We had already drunk tea and were collecting dry cow dung to feed the fire, when I saw the Arjopa climbing the slope at some distance below us, progressing with extraordinary rapidity. As he came nearer, I could see that he was walking with the same peculiar, nimble, springing gait which I had noticed in the Lama Lung-gom-pa of Thaybyang. When he reached us, the man stood quite still for a while, staring straight before him. He was not at all out of breath, but appeared only half conscious and incapable of speaking or moving. However, the trance gradually subsided, and the Ajopa came back to his normal state. Answering my questions, he told me that he had begun the Lung-gom training for acquiring fleetness with a Gomchen who lived near the Pa Bong monastery. His master having left the country, he intended to go to Lung-gom-pa in Sang. He did not tell me any more, and looked sad the whole evening. On the morrow he confessed to Haugen that the trance had come on him involuntarily and had been produced by a most vulgar thought. He visualized our little party. He saw the fire, the meat on the red embers, and sunk in contemplation, gradually became unconscious of his surroundings. Then, prompted by the desire of sharing our meal, he accelerated his pace and in so doing mechanically fell into the special gait which he was learning. The habitual association of that peculiar gait with the mystic words his master had taught him caused the mental recitation of the proper formula. The latter led to the regulation of the breath in the prescribed rhythm, and the trance followed. Nevertheless, the concentration of his thoughts on the grilled meat dominated everything. The novice regarded himself as a sinner. The mixture of gluttony, holy mystic words, and Lung-gom seemed to him sacrilegious. I felt interested and put different questions to the novice. He had been told that sunset and clear nights were favourable conditions for the walker. He had also been advised to train himself by looking fixedly at the starry sky. I suppose that, like most Tibetan mystics, he had taken an oath not to divulge the teaching imparted by his master, and that my questions troubled him. The third day after his racing performance, when we woke at daybreak, he was no longer in the tents. He had fled at night, this time for a more worthy purpose.